Welcome to Legacy Collection Chat, a brand new series which aims to provide you with a deep dive into the Mattel Legacy Collection and the origins of this prestigious line. I'm your host for this series, Tom Jurassic, and with me today is the man himself, JC.
Hey everyone, hey Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, JC. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to a nice fresh episode.
Good. I think this is going to be a very fun one. Some could say it's going to be a grand scale episode. So, on the subject of that, large scale toys often feel like a thing of the past, with trailers from The Lost World or Death Stars from A New Hope feeling like the kind of grandiose scale toys which wouldn't survive on the toy shelves of modern retailers. However, we have seen a comeback. Things like the Hasbro Pulse line have seen toys that we could never imagine, like a life-size, or not a life-size, but a 3 3/4 inch scale Razor Crest. A life-size Razor Crest would be crazy. And following on from this, Mattel have also made the bold decision to buck the trend of scaling down toys by adding 2 towering titans. There is now a third one that has been non-officially revealed, so we're not going to talk about it here, but so far they have added 2 titans to the roster of the Legacy Collection, with both a Brachiosaurus and an Apatosaurus now available in the 3 3/4 inch scale. Join us as we break down these gigantic additions to the Legacy Collection in today's Legacy Collection Chat. So JC, how did you feel when you first saw the 3 3/4 inch Brachiosaurus, and what were those initial thoughts?
Part of me couldn't quite believe it. As as someone who remembers the original Jurassic Park Kenner line, I remember having, I actually didn't even own, Tim Murphy had the a little baby Brachiosaurus that came with his figure, and I specifically remember I had a best friend who was really into Jurassic Park and the Lost World too, and I remember having the conversation, imagine if they did a Brachiosaurus in the same scale as these Kenner dinosaurs, so it would have to be huge. And we were like, yeah, but they'd never do that, but it would be amazing if they ever did and made it look like the Brachiosaurus from Jurassic Park. It was one of those blue sky discussions that I remember us having as kids, and now the generation who are growing up with Jurassic World get that. They get this huge Brachiosaurus toy, which I would never have thought they were going to actually do this. But it's epic. It's similar in scale to the Horizon Brachiosaurus model kit, which is actually cast off the Stan Winston scaled model that they used in production. So it feels like that Horizon Brachiosaurus, but it's an affordable way of getting it. So that's another plus for it. It's a nice model of the Brachiosaurus that people can own. It kind of democratizes that ownership of Jurassic Park, which is lovely. So you see them in the background of people's collections, and it's just nice to see. It's nice that that's a thing that exists now. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it must have done really well at the time of the release, because I know as we're recording this, there is a slightly repainted version releasing for Dominion, obviously a toy this large, you would think they'd just release it the once and sort of do that initial run and that would be it. So clearly it must have done quite well to get a repaint as well, right?
That's a good point, actually, because that would have had to have gone either back through the factory, or they would have had to have repainted existing stock that they had. So,
and it's a retool as well, so it's definitely gone back through, because it's got the DNA code that's new for the 2022 line.
Oh wow! So so they would have had to have gone back to the factory with that one. So I guess that just shows how popular it is. And also, it's kind of kept quite a premium price since the beginning. It's only dipped in price a couple of times. I noticed me and you have discussed when it goes down in price. It went down to half price at Argos here in the UK a couple of times over the last couple of years. And when it did, we were like, quickly, you know, get your Brachiosaurus, because it was just such a good deal for like £35. For that huge toy in today's money. That's something you don't often get for that sort of price. So yeah, and for the sculptural detail that you get on this figure, it's a joy. It is a joy.
It is, and we'll come on to that. We'll come on to the figure itself. But initially, I wanted to ask what your thoughts were about the packaging of the set. So, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it has the iconic scene of John Hammond, Alan Grant, and Ellie Sattler looking out over the lake at the Brachiosaur, and that just blows my mind how beautiful that artwork is. So, I wanted to ask you how it felt actually walking into a toy store and seeing that artwork on a shelf. Like, did that blow your mind?
Yeah, I think the Legacy collection in general has blown my mind because I mean, I'm a parent now, and when I go into toy stores, it's because, you know, we'll be looking for toys for my kids. So every so often I'll just glimpse what's going on in the Jurassic World line, and I'll see it and register it. And when the Legacy line came along, I was like, oh, this is stuff I remember. This is this is my childhood, and it's still here on the shelf, which is nice. So there was that sort of feeling, and also the boxes were really nicely done. There's that feeling of, you know, the Isla Nublar with John Hammond, and it was just a lovely picture of that vista with the Brachiosaurus. And like I said, it's just something I never thought would happen. It is a bit like a dream come true. I think because I'm now a parent, I see toys differently. I see them as maybe more for my children than me in a way. But I've collected everything from the Legacy line because I'm a collector of Jurassic Park things, and this line in particular really appealed to me, and this Brachiosaurus was one I had to pick up. When one of those half price officers came up, I just couldn't resist.
Absolutely do not blame you on not being able to resist that half price offer.
It was ridiculous. I was like, seriously, is that the price? I have to get this.
Yeah, some of the discounts on this toy have been crazy.
Yeah.
So as we've spoken about, there's a lot of hype around this figure, and I think the general reception when it was initially revealed, I can remember it was that Mattel photo with the Jurassic World gates in the background, and that reveal just got people really, really excited for this. So we've established that the sort of fan reaction initially was a bit of an explosion online, and then once that died down, I'm interested. Now obviously you've got this toy in hand, and you've seen it, you've posed it, you've looked at the paint apps. Does this figure live up to all of that hype for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they could have cheapened out on this one, and I probably still would have been happy. It to me, I love the attention to detail of the sculptural. It's the sculptural detail for me that matters, and they really nailed that. It's really, you know, if you think about even the Kenner line, some of the dinosaurs aren't the ones that are cast from like Stan Winston originals, because they're simply dinosaurs that weren't in Jurassic Park or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and their sculpts are, you know, there's a lot to be desired. You look at like the Stegosaurus from the original Kenner line, and it's not great. It's not a great sculpt. It needs work, but you know, so I would have been happy with that scaled up as a Brachiosaurus. I think it's more about getting the size right, it being compatible with the toy line that they're releasing. That as a concept just was really cool to me, and just having kids having access to that huge toy. And I love the like colossal stuff that they've done.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool, and I would have loved that when I was little. I would have loved full-size dinosaurs. That was the appeal of the Red Rex when I was little, was the fact that this was a dinosaur toy that wasn't being made in any other toy line, because there was nothing that was in scale with your toys. You just had a small little T-Rex die-cast plastic one, and then you'd have like your little action figure, and you'd have to just make do. But then Jurassic Park came along, and that huge dino, I think since Dino Riders, it was like the first dinosaur toy line to come along with big dinosaurs like that. And now big dinosaur toys are quite a common thing, but Jurassic Park really brought that back to the fore in the toy shops. It really made big dinosaur toys appealing again, and that Brachiosaur was one that I always dreamt about. So it's nice to see that the next generation have finally got it.
I think it's really interesting seeing the knock-on effect that Jurassic has had on other toy lines as well. Because a big one I always think about is Schleich. And obviously they've done a lot of stuff with their big dino assortment that we've looked at when they've done a huge control compound
Yeah.
at a 3 3/4 inch scale. And I don't think any of that would ever have happened in the way it has if it wasn't for the fact that there is this evergreen dinosaur brand constantly bringing new people into dinosaurs as a whole.
Absolutely. And you've reviewed some of their sets that have like cages and fences, and
they're actually doing a new one as well. Tim shared it with me the other day. They're doing a big capture truck now as well that's got like a removable cage on the back.
Oh wow, we got to get that on the channel. That sounds
great. We will.
It's almost like like they're feeding off of each other, which is amazing. You know, I was reviewing Schleich back in 2012, 2013, 2014, and it was purely dinosaur sets. But now they're moving into accessories that will play along with Jurassic World toys, and they're definitely aware of the fact that these toys are going to be played and cross-pollinated with other sets. So that's amazing to me that they're feeding off of that and creating toys to go with that. I mean, that's just fantastic. It's something I never would have foreseen happening.
Yeah, I think it is definitely an evolution of the dinosaur toy industry, which is really cool to see.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to take it back, because obviously you touched on the fact that you and your friend had spoken about this being a blue sky item during the Kenner days, and wondering if this would ever happen. And I was interested if, more broadly, was this something that got brought up a lot during the Kenner days? Did fans want to see these larger sauropods? And was it something that there was a lot of hunger for back with those initial toy lines as well?
It's funny because I think because there was the lack of the internet back then, I really only had the school playground and my friends to kind of see, to hear their reactions to the toys. And I think honestly, we all felt that the Jurassic Park toy line was amazing. And because you have to remember that before that we were playing with our toy museum small plastic figurines that were solid, had no articulation, nothing, and they were just little small things that you get from the museum, and those were toy dinosaurs to me, and that was as far as it went. Sometimes you'd see a small painted one or something left over from the Tyco Dino Riders line at a jumble sale or something, but they were rare because you didn't see them. So the Jurassic Park line was so amazing and mind-blowing that you didn't really want for anything more than that. But it was the sort of thing when you were playing with the toys and you were looking at the line that you would kind of look at the baby figures and go, oh, Timmy's got a Brachiosaurus, but there's no adult Brachiosaurus toy. Yeah. And you just jump to that, thought process. And I remember my friend saying that. So yeah, it's I don't think you ever felt there was anything lacking from the Kenner line, but maybe kids did think, oh, it's a shame that they haven't got the thing is that back then, I'm not sure if you had, I guess you did have toys that big, but they tended to be more like play sets that you could use your action figures in. Yeah, that makes sense. You didn't ever tend to have like a dinosaur or a figure that was that big. It was almost like it was a logistical nightmare for the toy manufacturer, and I think the Kenner Red Rex at the time was one of the biggest standalone figure toys that I'd seen. It was huge compared to other things. Now it's not. Now you've got the Colossal Rex and you've got this legacy huge Brachiosaurus, but I think at the time they had a big thing about you being able to see the toy in the box as well. And I think when you get to that sort of scale with the Brachiosaurus, it might have ended up being like a cuddly toy or something. Or,
it gets challenging to fit it in, doesn't it?
Yeah, or a puppet or something, rather than an action figure that has electronics. It seems like they almost, maybe because of freight shipping from like the factories and stuff, it might have been that things back then were harder to get in big boxes over intact. But I guess we had the command compound, but again, that's the playset thing. See what I'm saying? So the bigger boxes were always playsets back in the day. They were never like a huge figure like this. So that's why I never thought this would really happen, but it has. It's amazing.
I think that makes a lot of sense as well, because when you look at one of the few toy lines that did have big playsets, it's Star Wars.
Yes.
But then it's because it's vehicles or an iconic location. So a big example I always think of when we're talking about sort of classic toy playsets is the Kenner Death Star playset, where you have 3 floors, all of the detail packed into it, and it kind of is that thing again, almost coming back to the conversation we were having in an earlier episode about action figures being included separately. You want to release something that's going to encourage people to buy more, don't you? And a big dinosaur isn't always going to make someone turn around and want to buy more figures, whereas a playset needs to be populated by figures.
Exactly. Yeah, they were always thinking about what the parent would buy if they bought that, what they'd need to buy with it. Yeah, I think that was a big thing back in the 90s with toy sets, and that figures sold separately was that saying that you heard on TV all the time. Whereas now
it's going to be the catchphrase of the show.
Yeah, figures sold separately. We should have that as a little. We should have that. I got excited there. We should have that as a little motto below the logo, maybe.
Yeah.
Figures sold separately. But yeah, it was one of those things where I think they wanted to sell more and more and more. So whereas now I think they do actually think that part of the selling point of the toy is to have everything included that you need.
Yeah.
And maybe have a few figures that aren't the key figures, so that you still have something else you can get. But nowadays you do get a play set that is like a full set that you can play and create the full story with. That's more of a thing now. So I think they've come around to that idea of actually, no, playability is a big selling point, and we'll sell more of these actually if we chuck in extra figures.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So I wanted to bring us forward to another newer addition to the Legacy collection, which is the Apatosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
So I was interested to see firstly what you think of this figure, but then also if you think it's fair to include Jurassic World under the Legacy collection banner with the classic films as well.
I think given the time that we've had since Jurassic World came out, I think it's okay, but I can understand that people were like, well, hang on, it's not really a legacy figure. I think it still feels fresh enough for it not to be a legacy figure, so I can understand. I can see both sides of the argument, to be fair. I think, but legacy for me does feel like the old trilogy, I would say. I don't know what you feel. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I kind of look at Legacy as anything that's passed in the franchise. So even Fallen Kingdom to some extent could count as Legacy now, because Dominion's what's current, and then Legacy is anything that's come before that, I guess, but feeds into the current product.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, like, were the Apatosaurs in Fallen Kingdom as well?
I don't know. The Brachiosaurus definitely was.
In the Stampede scene.
Yeah, I feel like they're in the Stampede scene, and I also feel like you see them in Lockwood Manor.
So for me, it's almost like if you took an Owen figure and made him Legacy. It starts to feel a bit weird.
Well, a Jurassic World version of him probably would be Legacy now.
Yeah, I guess. But it would be weird if it was Legacy and it was him from Jurassic World. I can't put my finger on why. I think it's still because we're still in the trilogy.
Yeah.
And Legacy is something that is kind of earned over time. So it's like, it is legacy. It is old, but I wouldn't say it's from it's not a legacy. But I can see both sides of the argument. It's just because they wanted to put it under that huge, dinosaur bracket. They could have done a Mementosaurus.
Yeah, you're skipping my questions here, JC.
Sorry.
But yes, they could have done. And that was my final question, really, for you.
Yes.
Is that something that you would like to see them do? So could they do get ready for my elevator pitch here? Do you think something like a Mementosaurus with an InGen bike rider would work?
Oh my goodness! See, that to me, that makes me think. Oh yes. There's much more, but I don't know. There might not be the broader appeal for that. I know Mike Thorne tweeted some images from Stan Winston showing the actual sculpt, the small maquette for the Mementosaurus, which I didn't know existed. Until those surfaced. But Yeah, but it'd be cool if they matched it, you know, and got it it
Definitely.
looking right. I just don't know if there would be a broad appeal for it. But then these sort of underground things do have a broad appeal suddenly, don't they? They sort of come out of the woodwork. And I wouldn't say the Spinosaurus is an underground thing, but you look at the success of the Spinosaurus toy and you go, right, actually maybe the Momentosaurus would take off.
I would counter your argument about it not taking off with, well, they are making an Amargasaurus from the prologue, so really anything's... I keep saying Amargasaurus. It's not Amargasaurus, it's Dreadnoughtus.
Are they
but
making a Dreadnoughtus? Okay.
Yes, they're making Dreadnoughtus, so I would say that anything's on the table at this point.
Yeah, that's quite yeah, I guess... Is it only in the prologue?
Yes, as far as I know, it's not going to be in the actual film.
Well, that is quite niche then, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah.
But I guess it's sort of like a...
But Dreadnoughtus is also under the Legacy Collection banner.
Oh, is it? That's strange.
Yeah. Well, it is 65 million years in the past, JC.
Yeah, that's true. Is it the Dreadnoughtus's leg that we see at the beginning, or is that one of the... Is it a Ceratopsian's
Yes, that
leg?
is... so the sauropods that look very similar to Brachiosauruses are actually the Dreadnoughtus.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they turned up later in the movie as well, just to kind of, you know, solidify that presence in the film and when they're going to make a toy out of it, but...
Well, it's possible, isn't it? Because I didn't think that the Quetzalcoatlus was going to show up in the actual film until we saw the trailer. So I think anything's possible at this point.
One thing I want to say about the Apatosaurus, just going back to the Apatosaurus, is it the neck or the tail is sculpted with a bend in it?
Yeah, it's the tail, I believe.
Right. There's that's my only gripe with the thing. Is every time I see an image of that Apatosaurus, I think, I just want that tail straight. I would, if I bought that, I would want that straightened out. And it hasn't got a curve in the head, is it? Like the neck?
No.
No, okay, it's just the tail. Okay.
It'd be cool to see if they, depending on how well the Hammond collection does, and obviously at the time of recording this, it's still not in the UK. Mattel, what are you doing? Get on it. That was the most casual call out ever, but it is actually very frustrating, so please do fix it. Went from casual to passive aggressive very quickly. But I was going to say, if they got to the point where Hammond Collection is doing so well that they could do sauropods in that line, then why not do the bendy tails that the Amber Collection had?
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, it's a good idea.
I think that could be quite cool.
Yeah. There's definitely not a bend in the neck, because I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I don't know if it's the photography. Maybe the photography has put me off this thing.
I think it might be the tail.
Because there's like this one image where it's front on and it looks like there's a curve in the neck, but maybe it's just because it's rotated towards the camera and I'm just...
What it might be, the neck joint, you can't put it up and down. You can only put it left or right. So they might have moved it left or right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, that's probably it then. It's because I don't obviously own this one. I think it's a lovely big figure, and I mean, you know, for children now, they're spoiled. But I think I prefer the Brachiosaurus just personally. Yeah. Out of those two. But it looks huge, which is cool. It is a big old dino. Yeah.
So that brings it to a close for our episode on Towering Titans, really. Awesome. It's cool that we've got toys that are so big in the Jurassic line in 2022. Very, very exciting. Without any further ado, guys, that is it for this episode of Legacy Collection Chat. Do stay tuned here on Jurassic Collectables throughout the coming months, as we've got a few more episodes of the show to go, and we're very, very excited to share them with you. So you can find me at Tom Jurassic across social media. JC, as always, why don't you sign off?
So guys, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next Legacy Collection Chat.